Hey everyone. Welcome to the Felicity Optimist versus Cynic podcast with us, your hosts, Melissa and Fish. This is a Felicity rewatch podcast. We'll watch an episode each week and join you here to talk about it. Now, a quick reminder, it's not a spoiler-free podcast, although probably not going to give a whole lot of spoilers for this episode. Why? This is a weird one. And we're going to get weird. I'm Melissa, normally your optimist. Today, I'm flipping around. I'm going to be your cynic. And I'm here with my wonderful co-host, the one day only optimist, Fish. Fish, what do I even want to ask? How are you doing? What's happening? What's going on?
I'm feeling optimistic today.
Oh.
I'm feeling like, the world is my oyster, and I've got a wonderful chai latte right here, and things are just looking good.
Get over yourself, Fish.
Love you too.
Mm-hmm. What are we doing right now? Well, we're going to talk about season 2, episode 11. If you've been listening to the last several episodes of our podcast, you may know that I'm going to say, trepidatious, concerned, worried, not looking forward to this episode. And here we are, Help for the Lovelorn. This one originally aired January 23rd, 2000. It was written by J.J. Abrams, and it was directed by Lamont Johnson. Let me read this episode description so you know who that is. Former Twilight Zone director Lamont Johnson helms this tribute to the sci-fi series in which a lovelorn Felicity visits a mysterious clinic that promises to heal her broken heart. However, no one will tell her what the cure actually entails despite repeated requests, so she bolts before her examination is done, only to learn later that the treatment has already begun. So that's the description. Fish, where would you like to start?
I guess with a few overarching comments, and then maybe we can get kind of your comments back to that, and then maybe go through it a little bit. I mean, I understand why this might not be your favorite.
Okay.
I mean, it is an episode in and of itself, a bottle episode, as you call them. And yes, it did come in the middle of a to be continued series of 2 episodes. But I loved it. I really did. I mean, I really love the Twilight Zone, so that helps. I also really like old movies, and I love the noir genre. And so I think, one of the things that hit me the most is I thought the music was most appropriate for this episode. And my guess is it's the same, probably because it's old enough that it wasn't copyrighted, or they got it from the Twilight Zone. But I love the noir music, and then they give you like the alarm music, and then they let you calm down with what sounded like Earth Angel, but I think was something else, so you got the soda shop feel. So I was really hit by the music. I love the way it was shot. I love the black and white, and some of the aerial shots that they had, and the way that it built suspense, I felt was very good, Hitchcock-esque. I liked how they had tropes from those old series in them. I mean, this entire episode was about gaslighting Felicity, right? And then you see her as the hysterical woman, which again fits very much into that whole series. So, I mean, there were a lot of things that I I did like about this, but those were some of my, I guess, bigger overarching comments. Care to weigh in on any of those?
Okay. So, well, I haven't really seen much Twilight Zone. I maybe have seen a few episodes of it ever. Um, I have watched a lot of old films. I've watched a lot of noir, watched a little bit of sci-fi. And so it's not that I'm against any of those elements. I enjoy those things. The problem I always have, I can't think of a time when a TV show has done something like this and I liked it with any style that they did attribute to, even if it's a style that I like. Because for me, I'm tracking a story, I'm tracking characters, and anytime a showrunner decides to do a bottle episode that's totally a tribute and discards basically everywhere you are in the plot at that moment, like when it doesn't move anything forward at all, I just am not interested in it because that's not the show that I'm watching. And so for me, like I took all these notes about what happened, but at the end of the day, I feel kind of like existential crisis about it because I'm like, but does any of it matter? And in reality, if you removed this episode entirely, it would make zero amount of difference in the plot for the whole, for like the whole show, this the story arc of the whole show. So it doesn't feel to me like a good time investment. And I actually, so I skip it on rewatches, and this is maybe like the third time ever I've actually seen this episode, even though I've seen all the other ones many, many more times than that. I actually forgot that episode 10 was the first part of a to be continued. So when to be continued came up in the last episode when we were watching it, I was like, are you kidding? Like, because usually I'm used to a two-parter being back to back. And here they disrupted it with something that's really a non sequitur. It kind of has nothing to do with pretty much anything. They pulled in a few elements of those characters' personalities, but I think we're really meant to look at these people as like this could be a standalone. Um, their characters are shifting enough to be part of that period that it doesn't really feel like it's a cohesive narrative. So that is ultimately my overarching view of this. And yeah, um, I mean, I'm sure they did what they did pretty well. I just, it isn't an episode of Felicity, and we're usually here to talk about the show Felicity. So it puts me at a little bit of a loss and like how to approach it. But I would, it'll be interesting to talk through it with you, Fish. And it would be interesting also to like hear from listeners on like, do you like this episode? Do you not like this episode? Did you like where it was placed? I mean, I'm curious to see what people's general opinion is because I could totally imagine why people would like it. If you like tribute episodes in general, this is one. So,
Yeah, I also think that, I know you don't watch just a lot of sitcoms.
mm-hmm.
They don't really work for you, but back when we weren't binge watching everything, they would have these episodes where basically it would just be clips from the show,
Mm-hmm.
and it would kind of be I don't know, like a placeholder or
Yeah,
like
Alias did that a lot.
yeah, and
Except they incorporate it in that show, and I only mention this show because it's the same showrunner. Um, like with Alias, anytime you were coming back after a break, they would do an episode where like Sydney would be like, so here's what's happened, and but it was always like in the context of she was being interrogated by somebody or like they would place it within the story and then they'd have a clip show but it was still like part of the now. It wasn't something
Yeah.
that was like completely.
I'm thinking more of like Friends,
Mm,
which, there would be maybe 5 minutes of like, like now show where they're sitting around, the coffee shop or, um, Monica's apartment on the couches and saying, remember when? And then they'd go to like 3 clips, right?
mhm,
And so I find those really annoying and
mhm.
didn't like them. And so those I definitely will skip, like when rewatching Friends, because I'm like, I just watched this. And I kind of feel like this episode did something like that. It wasn't obviously clips, which made me actually like it because I like the style. But I feel like it is let's take a step back from an intense plot point and let's focus in on where Felicity's emotional state is and reflect a little bit more on the type of person she is and her personality and maybe how she's changed a bit. I found this to be really more reflective of who Felicity is now. And in that way, giving us an insight into that, it helps me hopefully, see what will happen next in a different context. And
Yeah.
and so I think I found that to be an interesting way to do it. And
Mhm.
because I also like the style in which they did it, that just is sort of like a cherry on top. But I like taking a step back and thinking about, all right, well, what are some of the themes? What are, some of the internal things that are going on? That's why we talk for 3 to 4 hours about this stuff. So I guess I'm a little surprised that, knowing how much you like looking into the characters, that you didn't kind of find this a little more interesting from this is really reflective of who Felicity is at the moment and her
Well, that's
relationship
the
with all
thing.
these
I don't think this
people.
is who Felicity is at the moment. I think that her dad just came in and, like, I think the last thing she's thinking about right now is her love life. Um, like, the last thing we saw was a whole episode where her dad came back with her to New York to open up the second half of season two. And the whole episode was about her world being rocked over her family unit coming apart at the seams and her trying to figure out what that meant for her. And yeah, she goes to the pool with Ben. She has no time with Noel in that episode. I think Felicity is not thinking about love whatsoever in this moment. Or I don't even know if Felicity knows who she is at this moment. I think that she's in like the most desperate place in a triage unit right now. And so looking at this episode from that standpoint, I think would only be possible for me if it were placed somewhere else that made more sense in the story. But
Yeah,
we didn't leave off in the to be continued with her thinking about like, oh, what's it going to be with the boys, like Ben and Noel were not, to me, it was just such an afterthought for her, but it's the whole point of Help for the Lovelorn. And I don't know, I feel like this would have been better placed in the first half of season two.
I mean, I definitely have been feeling in the last few episodes, like before her dad kind of dropped the big bomb on her, that she was having feelings for both. Well, first she was having feelings for Noel, which obviously were kind of reciprocated. And then Ben comes into the picture, right? And
Mhm.
she's having these like moments with him. And so I definitely felt like that she was having moments with them. I don't think it was it's not the main thing that's in her mind at the end of episode 10,
Mhm.
but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just taking a step back again from an intense moment. And given that the last 3 episodes have all focused on Noel and Ben, and now they're both back in the picture, I am okay with this. I think she is very much in a desperate feeling throughout most of this episode. But I think you're right. It doesn't go to exactly where she is right now with her father.
Because, I think that what they did in Portraits was a better attempt at timing for this, right? Like in Portraits, which was the very last episode at the end of the first half, she has all those weird dreams. And we get all those we get Eli coming back, we get Lucky, we get David, we get all the men who have ever been in her life. We get the idea of ambivalence, we get her wondering what it all means. She thinks in that moment that it means she's interested in Noel, and yet she's still like dreaming about all these different people. It's sort of like a who's who of everybody who's been on the show at that point. Like so many people end up getting featured in those dreams, or at least anybody who's ever had a connection to her love life. They did that. They did that already. And so they open up the second half with a really confronting episode, with opening up all new plot lines, with her dad coming back with her, opening up that whole story. She just got in trouble with Ben, and so what's going to happen with that? Whether she's going to get expelled or not is currently hanging in the balance. She didn't see Noel, and yet they've placed this episode, which for me feels like it's investigating from a different angle some of the things that Portraits was trying to do only 2 episodes ago. And we just don't have enough runway here at the second half of the season to like interrupt it again with something that isn't actually part of the current major plots they developed. And I'm just kind of scrolling through. I almost feel like this would be better served coming much later in the season, or in like almost towards the end of this season, or the like part way into the first half.
I don't know, maybe you could watch it then.
I won't. No. But I mean, I want it to make sense in the story to me.
Yeah, but I think because to me it speaks, it goes beyond just talking about Ben and Noel, right? We don't get a resolution on is it Ben or Noel. Mm-hmm. I don't actually think this is about Ben or Noel. Mm-hmm. I think it is about Felicity and the kind of person she is. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I guess I'm still okay with it coming at a pivotal time when she's going to have to make decisions, mm-hmm. Or have to deal with a lot. So maybe if we start
and just to put yes, let's get into, but just to put this in context for you, Fish, I'm just looking ahead. I'm not going to give you spoilers here, but I'm just looking ahead at when I think she actually starts to care about relationships again. And I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. Maybe around episode like 15, maybe. There's a little wiggle room there. It's going to be a while. I might even say episode 16. I'd say probably episode 16. So okay. That's like a whole month. Let's see, because this one aired January 23rd. And the next one where I'm thinking like, I really feel like she's looking at somebody with interest is in April. So like this
timing does seem to be an issue for you.
It's a pretty big one because I think her love life is so not a priority for a while. It's not to say that there aren't like men in her orbit. There are, but she's got we opened up some pretty significant stuff for her to deal with. That's not her love life. And they're going to give us a little room for that to breathe. And, bring some new characters in who can change her viewpoint entirely. Like I think that Dr. Pavone does some of the things that this episode is trying to do in an organic way.
Yeah, and I just, I don't have any insight into what comes next.
Yeah.
So maybe I just don't see how out of place this is, or how much it is repetitive.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as we get further in.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, seeing it as if it was a first watch, I certainly don't mind it here.
Okay.
And, maybe they didn't expect people to like immediately go back and start watching it again, which I know you do when you love things. Mm-hmm. And you're like, and now we must see if it happened all in the right order. And maybe it would make sense if it was later. I do have a feeling that even if it was later, you still wouldn't like it.
I still wouldn't like it, but there would be more context for it to be placed where it was if it happened anywhere near where she's thinking about relationships, which to be honest is like almost the entire show. They have embedded this into a spot where it's like the only time she's going to be single for a while. So it's like, so knowing that she's not going to be in a proper relationship for a bit, for her to come through this and for her initial thought to be, I don't want to feel anymore. I don't want to deal with love anymore. But by the end of it, for her to say, yes, I do, that to me is better placed in the context of she's about to get into a relationship. And she does so in like the next episode. It's going to be April. It's going to be like, for the real runtime of the show, it's going to be well over like almost 2.5 months. For her to have this realization in this episode, like, oh, I do believe in love. It's like, great, doesn't matter. Hold on a tick. We'll come back to that. Put a pin in this for just a moment, this revelation you've had, Felicity, and we're going to come back to that later.
But up to this point, she has believed in it. So again, on a first watch, it seems relevant to what she has already gone through.
Yeah. You're doing a great job being an optimist here, Fish. I'm putting your feet to the fire.
Yeah.
I can't handle it.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So we do still need to go through it. Mm-hmm. And I will say, there's pieces that I probably won't go through it in full detail because I know you're not going to be that interested in it. So I'll just go through the things that I thought were pretty cool. So we start out again.
Have we said it's a black and white episode? We did, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. It's like, it's a period piece. I think this one is squarely set in like the 60s.
I found the time kind of hard to figure out. Definitely the outfits were like 50s, 60s. Okay. So, which I also love. And they're speaking in the way that people were kind of speaking in old movies. How people were trained to speak in a way that doesn't sound like real dialogue.
Yeah. Some of them were more effective at that than others, I would say. There was and I would say even the best of them, they were like in and out with their lines, but they were asked to do like they probably had a week to figure out this style and just started shooting it immediately.
But I enjoyed how Meghan and Felicity do it in the first scene. I thought they spoke really well, and absolutely loved Meghan's outfit and her hair. So
that is a nod to the future, although I don't know if they knew that right now. Meghan will, at a certain point in this series, start to dress a little bit more of this era.
Interesting.
It'll be like a major, I don't know, it'll be a shift for her, probably around the time we're starting to see more of her character. But if you like this look, that's good news for you because you'll see more of it from specifically her.
And I do like this look
Yeah.
on everyone,
Mm-hmm.
by the way. Major bonus points for the fact that we get a really long, clear view at all the things on her box,
Mm-hmm.
including the giant Super Freak sticker. What I thought was Ozzy, but probably isn't by the second time I looked at it. I think maybe it's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But if we wanted to know more about the stickers on her box, I mean, the reason you don't remember them is probably because you skipped this episode.
Yes.
And we get a nice clear view of that. So I'm giving it bonus points for that.
Okay.
I like the opening scene and how I mean, you're absolutely right. They pull threads of who they are into the episode, and I find that fun. So that's all I have on the first scene. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the main thing in terms of dialogue, like Felicity saying, what a gray day. It is such a gray day. Meghan, while Felicity's looking out the window, Meghan has been holding the box open in clear view for a while. Yeah. And finally, when Felicity turns around, she slowly closes it. And, Felicity says, what's in the box? It's like, had you just turned around a second earlier, you could have just kind of seen from across the room inside of it. But yeah, Meghan was being fairly bold in that situation without trying to be. They weren't trying to make her like super snarky here. They just, she just had the box open for a while. So Felicity does ask what's in the box. That question comes up again. It, of course, doesn't get answered.
Well, not immediately.
Not immediately. Nope.
I'm just imagining her parents at this moment being shocked by the 5 little dolls.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. I think at the end of this episode, they're going to give you the theory of what's inside, but it's not real time meant to be the theory. This is just like this bottle episode.
It's fun to think about in the way it doesn't make any sense in the context of the real show. It's like, I'm going to get rid of it. But how? Well, by dumping the little.
Yeah, like, I don't see how you can do that. Remember Vampire Walter?
Yes.
Yeah, had it been 5 little dolls, Walter might not have been so shocked, and he would have thought you could throw it away. But hey, whatever. Does make sense that it would be something that would kind of rattle around in the box, but that's kind of the only thing that tracks.
They're cloth dolls. I don't know that they make so much
they were cloth? Okay. Yeah. Well, there goes that. Yeah, look at me. I was trying to be an optimist for 2 seconds, and then I was like,
do that.
Nope.
Nope. Gotta stick in your lane.
Yeah. We're gonna go to Dean and DeLuca, a black and white Dean and DeLuca. I kind of liked that they showed for a second, like they picked the first shot to show you of Dean and DeLuca as one that actually kind of looks like. It kind of made me think of Children of the Corn, to be honest. Like it looked like a different location. Yeah. Because they don't usually, at this point in this series, they haven't done a lot of showing us that angle. The angle where you're looking from like where they're working over the side counter through the window. That is a part of Dean and DeLuca that we will see in some important scenes, but we haven't seen it a lot yet. Usually you're looking like over the main part of the counter into where all the people are sitting. So the fact that they gave us such like a bare bones shot of Dean and DeLuca felt that it made sense for like trying to simplify the location, but they are in Dean and DeLuca, that they'll pan to show you the rest of it. But for a second I was like, oh wait. Oh yeah, this is Dean and DeLuca.
Yeah, and they've removed a bunch of stuff from it because there's no cappuccino maker, there's no till, there's no, I mean, it's, when you say bare bones, I mean, there really isn't much there. Yeah. Except for some cookies for Felicity just sadly
stacking cookies. Sadly, am I wrong? Like, this is in a lot of scripts.
Slowly and sadly, and ruminatively in this case.
Wow.
But this is where I thought Earth Angel was playing, but I don't actually think it was Earth Angel. It was quiet, but it had that soda pop feel,
Okay.
right? So you're heading down to this felt like kind of a soda pop shop.
Hmm.
Now, I am fully going to admit that I am calling Noel out as the MVP of this entire thing, and I thought that he was unbelievably sexy in this, and
Oh.
I have like re-fallen in love with him. Love his hair, love his clothes. Everything about it is just working for me.
Okay.
And he's really sweet to Felicity
Until he's
here.
really menacing and then such a douche.
Right. We will get to my opinions on that later. Um, but yeah, he he's super sweet here.
Hmm.
And and then we of course we got the weird guy with a hat reading a newspaper.
Hmm.
And and then he's just sort of chilling in the background with Ben.
Yeah.
And there's this, wistful look on Felicity's face, which I thought she was just really focusing in on Noel, but then I guess it became about the two of them.
I
Um,
thought that she was looking back and forth between the two of them. And then I had a sense that the woman was calling her out more for looking at Ben. Um,
well, she said boyfriend, and Felicity says boyfriends, but it's never
mm,
really clear on who they're talking about.
that's
And
true.
because Noel was the one just talking to her, and Ben hadn't talked to her at all, I thought she, in that moment, was really more focused on Noel. But since she
That's
does
interesting.
say boyfriends, I was like, okay. And then they're like, oh, love is complicated. And we get the title from this weird lady who keeps showing up. And
Doesn't
frankly,
blink.
yeah, seems like she has been lobotomized, which is
Hmm.
what I thought the treatment was going to be, but it didn't make sense.
Hmm.
But it's this sort of, cultish, Stepford Wives kind of, here, come to the clinic and get help for the lovelorn.
Yeah. I guess a few notes along the way here. Noel's clean cut look I found more funny than sexy.
Oh,
I
I
thought his head looked
loved it.
really flat.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh my God. I was just so, I mean, he, I fully admit he was not that great looking in season one,
Mhm.
but he has gotten so much better looking.
Okay.
And the black and white is
You feel
just
it did him justice.
really working for him.
Okay. I thought he was amusing looking, which is a different vibe that you had. He makes a point at the register, or when he's talking to Felicity up at the counter, he says 3 semesters left.
Mhm.
So he's, kind of time's ticking down for him. Not for her as much. She's a year behind him, but and then we do see Ben and Noel talking. The reason, so you and I had different interpretations of who that strange woman might have meant initially when she said, like old boyfriend. Um, because although Felicity was just talking to Noel, the camera was showing shots of both. So when Noel went to sit down, they show us a shot of Noel and Ben talking, and then they showed a lingering shot on Ben right before the woman came up. So I think you and I had different moments frozen in our brains, both of which were accurate in terms of like we spent a bunch of time looking at one of the characters. We had most recently seen a lingering shot of Ben, and then the woman comes up and yeah, she's like, lovesick. And she gives Felicity that card from the clinic, just says like the clinic. She says, it's a treatment. And there was a line that she said here for the incurable romantic, the clinic is the cure.
Yep, I
Mm-hmm.
know, right?
This
Uh,
reminds me of uh, I don't know why this reminds me of this, but so when I was a little gymnast, the first meet I ever had, I don't know, I was maybe like 7, was going to be at a gym called The Gym. And I remember having a conversation, and I'm going to say an argument with my coach, like one of the head coaches at the gym. And he was like, "Are you looking forward to the meet?" I was like, "Yeah, where's it going to be?" He's like, "The gym." I was like, "I know, but where?" And he's like, "The gym." I was like, "I know, but what gym?" He's like, "The gym." I was 7. He
The
must have been
face.
peeing his pants. Because, like, it wasn't a moment where I would get in trouble. It was like, this is the weirdest Abbott and Costello moment with a 7-year-old
Yeah.
I've ever had. And you just know that that gym, like, they set everybody up for that very conversation. Um, anyway, that's what happens when you give places a generic name, like the clinic.
But I think it's also a sign of the time period, right?
Mhm.
Because if you just call something the coffee shop, at that time, it probably was the only coffee shop.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, I mean, in all fairness, if you say Starbucks, you still don't know where you're meeting.
Yes.
But it's, uh, yeah, plus they can't really give it a name since, you know, they can't be like the Mayo Clinic.
The
But
UNY clinic.
yeah, health
Yeah.
services, the clinic.
The clinic associated with Dean and DeLuca.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So the other thing I like here is you get to see this freckle really clearly that
mhm,
Felicity has on her face.
mhm.
And I'm trying to remember what time period it was, but I want to say somewhere in the 1800s. That was called the kissing.
Oh,
If a woman had a mark right there,
okay.
and it was seen as like a very kind of fetching and romantic
My, oh my.
thing for someone to have. So I thought that was an interesting. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but you know, might be a nod to Marilyn Monroe or something as well. But
Doesn't she always have that freckle? But
I
it's
think she
just in
does,
black
but it
and
was
white.
so like
It's, yeah, more,
pronounced.
yeah.
And they had done her makeup so that it was really pronounced.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, and I
And
enjoy
you
that
thought it
fact.
was fetching.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did find the time period hard to narrow down. Like, yes, I think it was 50s or 60s because of their outfits, but I think there were some like anachronistic things that went on.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
You know,
Yeah.
they had a week to pull this off. So probably. So we're gonna get before we leave this location, we're gonna get a voiceover from Janine Garofalo. Witness Felicity Porter. I didn't write down this whole script, but it was like a woman feeling. It was like it was very a different cadence, very halting, a lot more pauses, a lot of repetition, a lot of emphasis.
Yeah, there's usually a narrator for the Twilight Zone, so that makes sense. The part that caught my kind of caught my attention was it was something like Felicity is unfortunate because patrons haven't been able to look at her face and read her mind until now.
Mhm.
Okay, I get people haven't been able to read her mind, she actually has to communicate, etc. But what was up with the until now? Like, at no point in the, in the show did people get to read her mind. So I do feel like that was a little odd. I guess we, as the viewer, get a better insight into her, but she's usually pretty forthcoming with what she's thinking.
I'm letting nothing slide. We don't get to know her. Why do we have this line? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean, I liked the part. all of the words up until now. So, 2 out of very many words aren't that many words to not like.
I mean, some of us didn't like the whole episode, so it's really hard to rebut that. We head from that voiceover into very Twilight Zone-ified credits.
Love them.
Mm-hmm.
Love them. Yeah. It's the first time, and maybe many of you have already noticed this. It's the first time I really noticed the word city in Felicity's name.
Mm-hmm.
Love the credits. Love the flying eyeball, but I mean, that's all very normal for Twilight Zone type stuff.
Okay.
So you like it or you don't, and I guess you probably didn't.
I mean, those are the credits, right? I mean, it would be weird to have again in the context of this episode. So they certainly put a lot of effort. I kind of wonder. I kind of wonder if maybe the placement of when this episode happens. I a little bit wonder if this was a production thing, because so much had to be done differently for this. They had a lot of episodes to do in a given year. This season, there's going to be 23 episodes to do. That's a lot of shooting time, and that's a really hectic pace that a lot of shows were doing at that time. Now we see shows doing like 10 episodes and 8 episodes and 13 episodes. And it's pretty unusual to see a show like this doing a 22, 23 episode run in one season. It seems to me that this episode would have taken a little more than the average time to put this together, to edit it, to direct, to switch up the locations and make sure everything was ready and how it looked. And I'm guessing they probably didn't give the actors a lot more time to like work out how to do these characters, but I don't know I wonder if behind the scenes, like when in the shooting schedule did this come, and the fact that it's placed in the second episode coming back, was that always intentional? Was that where it was on the whiteboard at the beginning when they were working it out? Or is this like when they were able to get Lamont Johnson, or when they were able, like, what were the factors that went into this? Because it just seems to me like this would have taken more time and effort. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they did have the break, I guess, to edit, but I also feel like
they might not have had a break.
Well, yeah, but I mean the break in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they shoot a number of episodes in advance. It's not like they're
like maybe months in advance to get started. But if the average episode took, like, I don't know, like a week to get all of the different setups, all the shots, all the different locations done, I don't know. Feels like this one might have stretched out. And, they had to get Lamont Johnson. I don't know. I don't know what else he was working on, or if he was working on anything.
Probably not that. I think that wasn't the hardest get in the world at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But, maybe it was supposed to be somewhere else, but I still feel like, also because of Felicity's hair, it hasn't changed that much.
That's true.
But I guess hair doesn't grow that fast. The other thing is, normally I'm hating on the headbands. Absolutely love the headbands. And it's like everything about the hair with her, with Julie, with Elena, with Noel. Ben, I feel like didn't shine in this look.
I don't think he was comfortable in this style at all.
Yeah.
He was kind of just Ben.
Yeah, which was fine because they gave him a little bit of a greaser look with the short sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think this was his moment to shine. I think it was.
I also feel like for all of them, even the ones that were more comfortable doing the dialogue in this style, I feel like they did it better when they had shorter lines or like one sentence at a time lines.
Yeah.
Whenever they had longer monologues or like real emotion that they had to slip in, even Carrie Russell, it started to get like, oh, that's Carrie Russell, not just this Twilight Zone version of her. But when they'd have these little short blocks of lines, I feel like they were better at adhering to the style.
And that's what the style was. You didn't usually get longer emotional monologues. Like if you
Yeah,
got something long, it was usually more narration, even if
yeah,
it wasn't the narrator doing it. It was like a very unemotional monologue. If there
yeah.
was feeling, it was usually short and heightened by music,
Hmm.
um, and highly stylized.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah.
makes sense. So those moments that kind of took me out of it, or it seems like the actors took themselves out of it. It wasn't really matching the Twilight Zone style anyway.
But again, didn't take me out of it.
Mm.
I just enjoyed it for what it was. Another thing I enjoyed, we then we open on Felicity at the clinic. She's
Hmm.
checking out the clinic, and as she is sitting, she has the cutest socks and
Oh,
shoe combo there. Like, just go back and look at the socks; they're amazing.
okay.
Um, so then we have creepy Janice,
Yeah, Janice King,
who
who's a
is
nurse
a nurse.
and wants to give her a questionnaire. When did the love sickness start? 15 months ago is when Felicity attributes it, when she got to college.
Yeah, had nothing to do with the whole time she was lovesick over Ben in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is when they decided to make the starting point, right? So 15 months ago when she got to college. Movie. And this is one of the places where she gives a lot of dialogue here. So
Yes.
she's explaining what the problem is. She's sick of caring so much. She just wants the feeling to go away. And Janice is like, okay, great, sign this.
Yeah, it was interesting. She says she's putting too much importance on romance and sex, and she's like, oh, maybe it was with the holidays and the weather. Um, you know, love matters. With all of her love matters, she it's horrible and annoying, and yeah, she wants the feeling to go away. She does get sort of frustrated, mad, and desperate, which I didn't see as a break from the style, because what they're building her up to be is um, this gaslit woman who
Mhm.
is panicky and everyone's telling to calm down, and it's rooted in a feeling that she has originally that then they just blow way out of proportion, right?
Mhm.
By like egging her on and making her feel insane.
Every time every time Carrie Russell yelled in this episode, I kept hearing her say, "How did the song go?" When she was yelling at Meghan about Meghan taunting her about Julie's song. I just kept hearing that. How did the song go? She she has a Carrie
Clearly
Russell yelling voice that she
you
uses.
were not into you were not into this.
No,
You were thinking about other stuff.
I was
And
thinking
then
about other
that's
things that belong to the plot. So so
yeah.
after all this questionnaire, Janice here's her speech about what she wants and doesn't want in her life, and Janice is like, "Okay, go ahead, sign this thing." And Felicity signs a piece of paper without reading it, without knowing
She
what the therapy
does.
is.
She does sign it. But I do want to point out one of the things she's really looking for is a soulmate. She really would like a soulmate. And I think that this is kind of, I don't know, and again, we haven't gotten to season 4, but I think it's a little bit of maybe an overall flaw in the show that they're talking about. I feel like she does want a soulmate, and maybe you grow a soulmate. I don't know. But then to have a triangle when what you're really looking for is a soulmate, I feel like there's just a dissonance between that. There's tension
It
between
might
that.
be worth noting that in the dream sequence that we saw 2 episodes ago, in portraits, when all those guys were coming up and saying like their claim to Felicity,
Yeah.
Ben was the one who said, "I'm her soulmate."
And so did Noel.
Well, yeah, and he said, "So am I." Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like you've got her looking for one person who is like destined to be hers, and but then there's a triangle. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, I get it for creating the suspense and the, will they, won't they, for the audience. But I don't know. I do feel that tension.
They're not going to make us go 4 seasons without answering who the show thinks the soulmate is. And um the other weird thing that happens with this show, which you may or may not remember, Fish, but in season 4, the network was like, okay, JJ Abrams and Matt Reeves, you're either going to get 17 or 22 episodes in this season. And they're like, right. Which is it? 17 or 22? And they were like, we'll tell you later. So they're like, well, what do we do with this? We can't plan for a graduation episode at 22 and then find out we got 17 and not have her graduate. So the like episode 17 is one ending of the show with like graduation, and like it's what some consider the final episode. And then they got 5 more episodes. And so they were like, okay, what do we do with this? And they took it in a direction that's very what we now know to be JJ Abrams, where they like go back in time and they re-explore a path. And I think they, in doing so, perhaps further cement the initial direction they took. So I think that this show is going to make a decision on who they want her to like, who they want her soulmate to be. I think they're going to not make us wait forever. And then, you know, so something like this does still feel murky at this point in the series, and it's going to feel murky for a little while longer. But the show does ultimately end up falling into a direction.
Yeah. And I don't know. So I feel like, so what she wants is a soulmate. And Janice is like, cool, you signed it. Now you can see the doctor. And she leaves the room, and Felicity goes and looks at a bunch of scary looking instruments, one of which definitely looked like a bone saw.
Oh.
So that probably continued to put her on edge.
Yeah. Well, she goes in, she sees the doctor, and he starts doing a physical exam, which is kind of rattling for her. She thought she was going in to have a chat, figure out
Yeah,
what this procedure was, figure out what the clinic actually does.
Yes. And that's not what's going on.
Yeah.
He wants to see if she's qualified. I mean, she
Mm-hmm.
keeps asking these questions, right? She's like, wait, what are you doing? This is just a consultation. He's like, well, not everybody qualifies. And he just keeps silencing her. He's just
Mm-hmm.
like, shh, don't worry about it. It's not a problem.
Yeah. And usually the word she gets silenced is that, what is this treatment anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
then she,
somewhere along the way, they hand her a drink.
well, yeah, they hand her one of those little tiny paper cups that you get at the dentist's office.
Yeah. Which are so upsetting.
Yeah.
Just by nature. You never get those in a good context, you know?
No.
But there are 2 of them on the tray. Doctor takes one, she takes the other, but they give her hers first.
Yeah. And she doesn't want it.
Huh.
No. But she drinks it.
She
And
sees
then,
the doctor drink it. She's like, all right, fair enough.
yeah. And this is another thing that I see go throughout this episode. She kind of goes back and forth between being kind of passive and obedient and then asserting herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like she didn't want to drink the water, but she did it anyway. Like, she wants an answer about this procedure.
Yeah.
And in the end, she's just like, nope, I'm getting up, I'm getting out of here.
At the point they're about to draw her blood,
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know. This does not seem like a consultation. And the doctor follows her and says, don't be afraid. And she turns back to him and says, I never said I was afraid. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was thinking, well, then why don't you just go get the treatment? And
yeah, they made it a whole big point, and it was sort of not tethered to anything else in the whole episode.
Well, I started thinking about it, and I do think this runs through. It's sort of a question in her mind. She wants the agency to be able to pick.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want this unknown people procedure that she doesn't know something about. She doesn't know what it requires. She doesn't know what it's going to do to her. Yeah. She kind of doesn't know what it says about her if she just kind of gives into this.
Yeah.
And I don't think she was afraid. I think she was kind of, mad. And it was a moment of her saying, yeah, I don't want you to take control over this part of my life.
Yeah. Okay.
So that the agency is pushy.
Yeah.
They want in.
Yeah. So they're going to start harassing her pretty much. We next see Felicity back at her dorm. She's holding a package, opens it up. It's a little glass heart from the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
She was just there. How did they get this to her in the mail? What kind of mail system is this?
Yeah. And then immediately,
how did they get her address?
Yeah. And then immediately upon opening it, she gets a phone call.
Ah.
And it's like, how did they know? And I love how she picks up the phone and she's still very polite. Mm-hmm. She's like, I really, I don't want anything to do with you. Please and thank you. Go away.
Yeah. They want to schedule a second appointment. She declines.
Yeah, she's not interested, and they just hang up on her.
They say, I see. Hang up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which she thinks is rude. And it's clear from her face, and then later she will actually say it. It is rude. Also was wondering, I mean, what is this glass heart? Is it a candy dish?
Seems like it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a candy dish you'd see on your grandmother's living room table.
It's not the only one we'll see.
It would have like Werther's Originals in it.
Yeah. Although I don't feel like many would fit. It's kind of small.
It's very small.
It's a really small.
A glass candy dish with one Werther's Original in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Or Andy's Mints.
Yeah, my grandparents, and it was actually my grandfather, was the one who did the candy dishes. He had a real sweet tooth. Mm-hmm. And for candy dishes, he always had like unwrapped things in the dishes. Yeah. Like that you would pour out of a candy box or something. I don't know what it came in, but it was like, yeah. But that's what he thought candy dishes were for.
Yeah.
Boy. If it
had
a wrapping, then it could be put, I don't know, directly on the table. But the dish is meant for those that had no wrapping.
Oh, okay. So one of the many disturbing things we've heard about today. Well, Felicity now is, she's Felicity. She's going to want to unpack all this with a friend. So she finds Elena.
Yeah.
And we see Elena. Elena's like a glass heart. I
Yeah. Why is there
mean,
no candy in it?
why is there not one where there's original in it?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Elena's like, so what's up with this clinic and why did you go? Are you desperate? What's happening here? Um,
She's desperate.
but that's okay. Elena was desperate once. Did she ever tell you a story about the free happiness test that I took?
Yeah.
They wanted to
At
sell
a
me stuff.
church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she also posits potentially they're vampires who want her
Right.
blood to, drink. Um, and then Felicity is like, here's this weird guy. He looks dead. I don't
Yeah,
really think he
Felicity can
looked
only
dead.
concentrate on Elena for so long because this guy is
Yeah.
looking like behind Elena through a glass window, staring at Felicity.
But then he comes in and he's
Mhm.
like, come on, I gotta talk to you. I want to talk to you.
Mhm.
And
I like
and
Elena here, where
I love that.
he looks,
Yeah.
he's a strange man. He looks a little strange. And Felicity's like, Elena, there's a man. She's like, well, is he cute? Like, and then she's like, he's dead looking. And she's like, well, just say no, thank you.
Love that one. Oh,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
They give Elena
Uh,
some of the best comedy in this episode, which is unusual for that character.
right.
Um, Elena can't
Uh,
see him though.
no, she turns around. Nobody's there. Um, and then, Felicity's got to go find him. And
Mhm.
here was a question I had. Like, when did microfiche start? This was one of the things where you could see microfiche.
Right.
Like,
Let me pull up my deep microfiche knowledge,
yeah. Because
which I
I
don't
feel
have.
like
Yeah.
the 50s or 60s, maybe that wasn't a thing, but
Okay.
maybe it was. I don't know. Um, but it was jarring enough that I wrote it down. But I loved this scene. Really everything about it. I loved the way the library was set up and how the stacks were like stylized in these slanting rows with a lot of space for her to go between. I think it was beautifully shot. Um they've got this, man who's gonna poke his head out and give her a warning. But after he's kind of doing that, we can come back to that. They've got this aerial shot, kind of above the stacks, and she's in a panic and she's kind of running between them, and it almost felt to me like she was doing a dance and sort of this frenetic, panicked dance. And so I loved everything about that scene.
Yeah, I suppose if you're looking at it that way, I mean, it was very stylized. It was sort of like it was very stylized. I don't know if I was into the running thing. If Carrie Russell was a dancer, so there are a couple times in this show we're going to see like little dance moments from her, and I suppose she was calling on that. But like, um, for a sort of urgent, tense situation, she'd take like two running steps and stop,
Yeah.
and then two running steps and stop. And granted, there wasn't a lot of space, but it's like he's not over here. He's not over here.
Yeah.
and then they just give her that like telenovela like glance over the camera that she's like and to close out the shot. And I was like, where is that? Was that Twilight Zone? Was that the style?
Well, they give her the shot where she runs straight at the camera and
Yeah.
stops right before it.
Yes.
Um, I liked it.
Okay.
I thought it was very well done. I liked how it was a dance, very choreographed. I agree that's not how real life looks if you're running around, but that wasn't the point.
It made me feel the way I felt watching the really slow medics wheeling Todd Mulcahy into the emergency ward, where it was like, why are they walking so slow? It was like, why is she taking only 2 running steps at a time and then deciding that that's not the direction she needs to go? It was, I don't know. Okay. I guess if you look at it as a dance, it's a different thing. But yeah, I mean, this guy is like, find a way out, stay away from snow. He has some things that, and he basically tells her it's already hopeless. They're doing the procedure right now.
Yeah, that was a little weird. He's like, stay away from snow. There's still time for you, but actually not.
Yeah, like actually, I'm just kidding. You're already toast.
Yeah.
And then he just disappeared. Yeah.
Yep. On again.
All right. Okay. And now if Felicity needed to unpack something with Elena before, gosh, now
Yeah.
they're talking it through, talking about this guy, and the weird woman
Elena
walks
with
up.
Elena has she keeps this leopard print on her coat, but just like just pieces of it. And such a beautiful coat. All right, sorry, we can go back to the weird, possibly lobotomized woman.
Yeah, not much to this. She's like, hey, you should go back to the clinic.
Yeah, I mean,
like, come on.
she really doesn't have much of a personality. She doesn't seem as threatening as some of the other people that are telling her to go back to the clinic. She's just sort of there. Like I feel like she might have a Werther's in her pocket.
Yeah, or in her mouth at the very moment.
Well, I was thinking she might give it to Felicity.
Okay.
Like she's just sort of a no personality, but like, here's a candy kid. Like,
it would be interesting to see a debate with this woman. Like, just the frustration of that. Like, give me one good reason why I should go back to the clinic, lady. You should go back. No, like explain to me. I want a pro and con list. You should go back. Like, like, okay. One note, this lady.
Yep. This is why I thought lobotomized and not what they're actually doing, which we'll get to.
All right. Well, Felicity's going to call the clinic because she's just like, stop this. Stop it. She calls them. She doesn't even say who she is. They're like, Felicity?
Yeah, they know.
Yeah. She's like, oh, okay. So, stop harassing me.
Yeah, pre-caller ID. Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, she in that moment is again taking agency and like fighting against these people who want to take away her decisions. But it's already happening. So I don't really know. I mean, she's taking agency, but I don't know what that really means.
Yeah, it doesn't really have control. Even in this point, she's like, stop harassing me. She's like, and don't hang up on me again. Don't you hang up. Don't you click. Don't hang up.
Yeah. She says it's rude. It's rude, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Well, so this next part is one of the more gleeful parts of the episode. So Felicity is lying in bed.
Did you say lethal?
Gleeful.
Gleeful.
Yeah, so Felicity is lying in bed and we hear the whispery, Felicity.
That is going to sound so scary on playback.
Yep, that's what I was going for. So you hear that a bunch of times. And then the voice says, open 67. And then she finds the tape on the floor. The tape is still saying her name. And then Meghan rolls over.
Tape recorder. With no tape in it.
Okay, yes. Meghan says, God, are you ever going to stop making those stupid tapes? It's one of the moments in this episode where the show got a little meta and it called itself out.
Yeah, they do it several times,
Yeah.
and I very much enjoyed it.
And this was a nod I needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes.
maybe she'll never make another tape again now that Meghan has said this.
We can hope. Look, here's the thing. I'm aware that this is the last episode that Janine Garofalo is credited in. I'm not prepared to say with 100% certainty that Felicity never leaves another tape for Sally. I'm hoping that this was the end of it because they called it out so abruptly here, and they probably know they're never bringing Janine Garofalo back. But if we get Felicity leaving a tape for Sally, like in, I don't know, a future episode, I'm not 100% ready to say that that doesn't happen. So,
But I am 100% ready to say that if it does happen, Melissa's going to lose
I'm
it.
going to lose it. I'm going to throw the whole candy dish of Werther's original across the room. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. Now we switch location. We're with Julie in the library. You okay?
Yes.
The clinic called me.
Well, I mean, first she says, are you okay? And Felicity is like, I'm losing my mind. Like at this point, they've gotten her head.
Yeah.
Right. So, this is that moment, right? Where she's been gaslit. They're in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie is just like another nail in that coffin because she trusts Julie. Like Julie's her friend.
Yeah.
And as you said, the clinic, they've called her.
Yeah, about Felicity. They want you to go back.
They do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just keep having to say this. Her skirt, amazing. Headband, amazing. But Julie is manipulative here. She's really pulling out the stop. She's like, this emotional turmoil, this stress that you're going through is what is causing, all of this suffering and feeling like you're losing your mind. And this is what the clinic is for. Mm-hmm. How do you think I ever got over Ben?
Yeah.
And forgave you?
Yeah.
I am a personal testimony. Like, and it.
Oh, you're a testimony? So tell me about the procedure. Can't do it. Sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah. That's not.
Oh, come on, Julie. Come on.
Nope. But I think it's interesting that kind of multiple times throughout this episode, they call out people that she has hurt. And she is questioning how, like, one, how did they get over heartbreak in general? Mm-hmm. And two, how did they get over betrayal? And she doesn't really know. She's like, I am not in a place right now where I know. And I thought that was important given what was going on with Noel and Ben. They're coming up to this, she's getting in a pool with Ben. She's starting to flirt around again and just having this in her head of, am I over heartbreak? Am I, can I forgive and maybe get in relationships again or have friendships again? And Julie still isn't like warm and fuzzy with her anymore, right? Mm-hmm. She's off with the Loft crew. But I found it was interesting that this is what they decided to focus on.
Well, I mean, are you saying Julie isn't warm and fuzzy with her in the episodes proper?
Yeah.
I mean, so they made a particular point in the first episode coming back that Elena, Julie, and Felicity were hanging out, having fun, being girls in Felicity's room twice. Yeah. Going to Bleecker Bob's, talking about, telescopes with lenses that, look like you were seeing your eyeball. To me, they haven't done a lot of scenes like that with those girls all together. but they made a point to show it that to us twice in the last episode. So I think that's part of the answer to the issue that you've had, of like they're keeping the universes separate of the Loft people and like the Elena, Noel, Felicity, Ruby group. They've kept them totally separate, and they need to start bringing them back into the same orbit. And I think that those scenes were part of an effort to sort of put them in the same locations again. And then, you know, the Ben and Felicity in the pool bit, and Ben being at Dean and DeLuke at the same time. That's another effort to start to answer the problems that you were bringing up that they had sort of painted themselves into a corner. So I think the last episode was like, we are disrupting that. We need new momentum. And so they just threw them together any way they could. Sean's still pretty separate, though.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was a little contrived. I mean, let's admit, oh, Javier has given us the same shift now.
Yeah.
But, it's fine.
It was, right. But they made that happen. I think the Julie stuff, I mean, I would totally believe that those friends would hang out. So I'm glad that they showed it to us, but they haven't been showing it to us.
And there's been no one-on-one, you know, it's been kind of buffered, right?
Yeah.
So they used to.
I get a feeling that Julie and Felicity are fine. Like they were having honest conversations about David. She was confiding in her whole quandary around him not making a move, and Julie was being really forthcoming with all that. And I think the David stuff broke the ice with Julie.
Yeah, I don't know.
We just haven't seen a lot.
That's the thing, is because I haven't seen it, I am not fully convinced. But since you, I'm sure, have seen it in future episodes, then
like we're not going to see more of a reckoning with them about the past in that way.
No, I don't think there needs to be a reckoning. There just needs to be like more scenes of friendship.
Yeah.
Because we just haven't seen that much.
Yeah.
But this is the question that's on the table for her. You know, how do you cure heartache, and whether it's with friends or maybe family or romantic.
Yeah.
And she's she trusts Julie, but Julie can't give her any more information.
Yeah, that's all Julie can say.
Yeah.
So explain this part to me. Explain this part to me, Fish. So
you just almost call me Julie.
Well, maybe. So Felicity. What is Felicity doing? She's getting an orientation at a new job to clean out a lab / mortuary? What is this place?
She said she has to start her new job. It is the biomedical room that is also a morgue.
Right.
Yes.
And it had, what would you call these things? I called it in my notes. The guy tells her, at the end of the day, you got to wipe down this, and I'm calling it a body locker. What was it really?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, usually they're like in a wall when we see them, right?
Yeah.
But I guess they wanted to have that cool effect with it like popping up.
Freestanding body locker. So it's the end of her shift. Probably Felicity is mopping alone. And she sees locker number 67, which, on that tapeless tape recorder, she heard the voice whispering, open 67. Well, here it is, number 67. She's like a reflection of a person in the locker, and then there's nobody there. It's creepy.
And it's like, is she going to open 67? Of course she's going to open 67 because it's still Felicity and she's still impulsive.
Yeah.
Right.
And then of course there's going to be a dead body because it's a morgue. / lab. And
of course the dead body is going to talk to her because it's the Twilight Zone. Even
though it's not actually talking. We don't see any lips moving, but we hear the whispery voice again. Unzip me. Unzip me.
If she wants to know what the clinic does.
Yeah.
And she has been asking, right? And
Yeah.
it's super creepy. And I wrote down, love it,
Okay.
love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what does the clinic do? What's this procedure? Well, there's a pretty big, like what is that? Crescent shaped scar
Hmm.
over the heart. Apparently, they will rip your heart out of your chest.
Yep. That's it.
What the actual?
That's what they do. That's the
Yeah.
solution. Just rip it out. And yeah.
So this fires Felicity up.
Oh yeah, she's not having
She
this.
reports directly to the clinic. And in my notes, I put, what was in the water? And then I wrote, pointing, angry. She points
She's
so much in this scene.
well,
Fully
this is
straight arm.
where yes, she is now fully the paranoid, insane woman that they have tried to make her, right? She's not really, but this is them. They have whipped her up into this trope, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she is walking in there with purpose, and she is fighting back. But and this, I mean, the doctor tells her to relax, at which point she should have slapped him. Um, and she sounds paranoid, and he points out how paranoid she sounds.
Yeah, he's gaslighting her up and down and left and right and in all directions.
Yes. And
Oh, you think we rip
literally,
out the heart? Well, what do we replace it with?
yeah. Well, he's gaslighting her and also gassing her, just want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Deep breath,
Oh,
relax, right?
yeah.
But yeah, he
He's saying
says,
you're imagining things, your story is impossible.
yeah. And she says, well, you must replace the heart with something, what did she say, like robotic, something unfeeling.
Mm.
And then she says, how do I know it's real? Because she's holding up the candy dish,
Mm-hmm.
Sans Werther's. And
Mm-hmm.
he, the doctor says, how do you even know that candy dish doesn't have a Werther's in it? How do you know what's real? And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, because I can feel it, and I can feel the pain in my arm. Dun
Mm-hmm.
dun dun. What does
Well, and meanwhile, like the guy's like, oh, it's safe. It's fine. This is all in your head. Meanwhile, Janice is ominously coming up behind her with like world's longest syringe.
yeah?
So,
And he says something the dads around the world say, it's all just for the best,
uh,
right? It's all for you. It's all good.
just
Don't worry about it.
cooperate.
Yep, we'll take care of it. Not a problem. And nope, she is running from this.
She's going to shatter the glass heart and she's going to run.
Yes. She's like, what do I do? Distraction. Create
Yeah.
distraction.
Yeah.
Throw Wertherless heart.
This time she runs more than two running steps, which is really good on her.
Yeah.
Um, and, we assume that she just keeps running until she's in Noel's arms on his couch and she's crying.
And I think it is telling that she goes to Noel first.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it looks like a super comfy chair slash sofa.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And Ben wasn't really able to handle this dialogue.
that's true. That's true. But
So
Noel was.
yes, he did this scene well. There was very sad string music in the background for this one. I noticed it was
Yes.
like violins and cellos, and it was just so sad sack. And she's like, "Am I losing my mind? I think I am losing my mind." No.
But
Um,
he's like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm going to keep saying it. He is so sexy here. He is completely gaslighting her. I get that. But he's got the big, broad shoulders, and she's crying into him, and he's supporting her. She's like, I want to lose this emptiness in my heart. And, he has this whole speech where he's like, you're not insane. You
mhm.
know, some people it's alcohol, some people it's gambling, some people it's drugs. Love is your addiction.
It's your weakness.
yeah.
And
And
then he says, my burden is believing
yeah,
in you. It's like, oh, okay.
he's supportive, but burdened.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Felicity's like, you know what? I want to go report this clinic to the police. And I was like, I'm going to come with you. Let me just go get changed real quick.
Hmm.
And then
Which
Felicity
I
notices
thought was great.
there's a glass heart on his end table.
With, again,
No
no
Werther's
candy.
original. Yeah. And so now she is skeptical and she sees Noel partially in the bathroom mirror. And so she creeps up and she looks to see him in full view. And he's got the scar.
Yep.
And at this
Um,
point, he flips from whatever version of Noel you thought you were just seeing to menacing, threatening.
yes. And this is so I think that they very cleverly pulled little bits of people's character into them,
Mm-hmm.
right? To keep them kind of in the show. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that Scott Foley went full Scott Foley on this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm seeing, you know, the startings of Jake from Scandal
Oh,
with this Scott Foley.
okay.
He is, you know, he's intense. He does not have a shirt on. He comes towards her. He says, you know, this is, you know, Julie's the one who turned me on to this. You know, I needed this too. It's the only way we'll survive. And then he
What the hell
comes
are we all looking for anyway with this love business?
seriously. And Felicity does this fantastic, you know, fall back into an Eames classic chair, which is such a great chair. Everyone go out and buy one. Nope, just kidding. They're ridiculously expensive. I don't have one. But I like to look at them. And so she falls back on this Eames classic and he, you know, puts his arms on either side, holding, you know, the chair, shirtless, and is just, you know, being sexy. He's
See,
being
I didn't
sexy.
find this sexy. I found this fully menacing.
Yeah, I look, powerful shirtless Noel to me is sexy. It just is.
I feel like this is the Noel, though, that in a normal episode of Felicity, you'd be like, he's being gross.
No, nope. I mean, in real world, like he wouldn't do this, right? Which is why I feel like he's Jake. Like I don't feel like they have pulled threads of Noel into this. I
Okay.
feel like this is Scott Foley being super intense because that's who he is as an actor.
Yeah.
And they let him just free rein it on this.
Yeah.
Um,
I bought this as a moment that Felicity was supposed to be scared of Noel.
well, I didn't because she stands up to him
Mm-hmm.
and she says, you know what? I want to feel pain. I would rather feel that than nothing.
She says,
And,
I'll take
and
all of
here
love's
is,
pain if it means I can feel some of love's happiness.
yes. And this is where I'd like to have my note from an
Oh
optimist.
my gosh.
I know, right? Um, so yeah, she's saying, you know, the pain is temporary and it's better than nothing. It's better than being heartless and, you know, Werther's originalness. Um, you know, pain, it's temporary and she wants to feel love and happiness. And that is going to happen. And throughout this entire episode, she never gives up fighting for love. So even when she's questioning, you know, how others are getting over heartbreak and getting over betrayal, she is always fighting. You know, she may have thought about having a consultation, um, but no, she wants life's experiences, even when it scares her. Um, and we'll get to this part, but I kind of have to reference it. I think of the box, her being in the box, as that nothingness, and she's safe there. They don't need food, they don't need water, they don't grow old, and she is the only one who is strong enough and has enough faith and courage, and is willing to accept help from people to get out of the box. And even when she does and lands face down as a little cloth doll and gets put back in, I don't think she's ever going to stop trying. And neither should we.
Wow. Oh, wow. I mean, look at this growth, fish. It's growth.
It's when I take something on, I take something on.
You do. That's for sure. Well, that was a note from your optimist for today. And I'm just gonna say all of that, but with caution. Like,
please
do
elaborate.
those things, but carefully.
Please elaborate.
Yeah.
I always elaborate.
Yeah, give it a try. Work hard at it. But of course, if you've got people gaslighting you, maybe don't try with them. I would say. So do that advice, but be diligent, be thoughtful, be careful who you give your heart to, and then work at it.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Yeah. So all of this to be said. So this whole conversation happens with Noel, and was it him that he says, like, Noel, take a deep breath? And it turns out Felicity is actually in surgery, and the deep breath was for the anesthesia. And apparently the doctor has already removed her heart. Dr. Malcolm Snow.
There you go. Dr. Snow.
Yeah.
This
whole thing is in mood.
She seems scared, which I don't understand, because everyone else who had their heart removed didn't seem scared. And all you hear in the back is this ominous sedate her again.
Yep. And then look, I don't know what happens now. So do Twilight Zone episodes do this, where like you have one story and then they stop the story partway through to do a new story?
I mean, I haven't seen them all, but what they will do is it'll usually be not usually, but some of the best ones that I have really liked are, you have this whole story that is told from one perspective, and then at the end there's sort of a separate revelation, and all of a sudden everything has changed. This isn't really that. So I think this was shoehorned in, I think, to talk about.
It does feel like that, right? Because this was there might have been somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes left of the episode. So maybe like 6-7 minutes of this, where Felicity now wakes up in a doorless, windowless room
with a fantastic artistic shadow. It just goes down the side.
A lot of shadow happening here. And so she wakes up, thinks she's alone, trying to figure out where she is. We don't know where she is. Then we see Noel emerge out of the darkness of another corner.
He is so freaking hot.
Oh boy.
Just everything about him. Okay. So hot. All Noel lovers, please just pile on here, because oh my God. Like, I'm ignoring all of his problematic behavior because I
Well,
don't
and
even
so is the
really
show as
care.
of this point, because
Yeah.
Felicity's like, well, what about the clinic? He's like, the clinic? She's like, what about the scar? Show me your chest. He's got no scar. So basically they
No,
had
but you
to.
know what he has? He's got an unbuttoned shirt with an incredibly sexy man. Like, oh my God.
That's true, but this is the moment where I was like, what's happening?
How are you thinking about that? I mean,
Because they
my
basically,
brain went to mush at this point.
in a moment of subtext, no, this frustrated me because in a moment of subtext, it was like, well, wait a minute, like that thing that we just spent like 30 minutes doing, 30, maybe almost 35 minutes talking about, like, just like, there were so many like tropey like so many no-nos happen here, stuff that frustrates people in shows. Like, you don't want this to be the ending reveal of your show. Well, like, basically they gaslit us. So, like, the clinic didn't happen, the scar didn't happen, none of that happened, we're fine, we're just in a room. And then Felicity goes even further. She starts maniacally laughing. She's lost it now. She's like, so it was a dream? And I was like, oh, come on. And so, like, not only are they like, this never happened, but Felicity's like, it was all a dream. And so then Noel's like, well, no, but this does suck. Like, how did you get here? What door
Yeah,
did you come through? What
I
trash chute did you sweep in from? Like, what I don't know. Like, what slingshot launched you in here? Like, he's running through all these things. What hallway did you run down? How did you get in this space?
yeah, I mean, for what you said about the dream, I look, if we've already suspended disbelief enough to the point where we can have a black and white episode, um, and that is so highly stylized, and again, you don't watch Twilight Zone, right? So it's it's
But this was like
weird.
two different episodes. This was like one almost complete episode, and they said everything they wanted to, and they're like, dang it, you need 5 more minutes.
No.
Let's do this. And this should have been and could have been its whole other own episode. Not that I wanted to see it, but like, this
But I don't
plot
think,
felt like something they could have worked through as a totally different story. And they rejected everything they had just set up
yeah,
wholesale.
but they weren't. I don't know. With shows like Twilight Zone, where they're all bottle episodes, every single one of them. Um, weird things do happen, and there are cuts, and there are, you know, it's there to weird you out. It's not there to make sense or like have the appropriate construction. It did elicit a lot of emotion from you.
Well, the emotion it
Um,
elicited wasn't to weird me out. It was to think that it was a badly written episode.
yeah, I
Like,
disagree.
when I see bad writing, I think it's bad writing, not like,
I mean,
oh, this is
whoever
the emotion
wrote,
you wanted in me.
now look, whoever wrote, like, well, where's the scar? Like, take off your shirt, I think is a genius.
Yeah, because you wanted to see Noel nude from the top, for the top up. But like, I
I mean, I wouldn't have minded
but
more.
for me, what disrupted me and took me out of being able to appreciate anything aesthetic was we were just, I literally gaslit us as an audience. And they were like,
I don't feel
everything we
like that
just
was,
told you, throw that away. We're doing something else for 6 minutes or
yeah,
7 minutes, or however long it
which
was.
was fine with me.
Yeah. I could have done without that. But the thing is, like, they did some of the best, like, most integrated nods to the show happen in this part.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't I don't like the construction of this episode in any way, shape, or form, whatever. But I maybe would have rather seen this be the whole episode, um, because of what they were able to do with it. So there are a couple nods that they have here. So we know that Felicity and Noel are in this space, and then we see Ben and Julie. Ben comes out from the shadows first, then Julie.
And
They
they
mention that they've been in
say,
the room for months.
yes.
And then Elena comes out. I assume Elena's also been in the room for months, although she wasn't like, it's not 100% confirmed from the order when everything came out.
She does something weird though. She just like kneels on the floor, which was not
Yeah.
explained.
She does a lot of interesting stuff here. So, and then they start sort of hypothesizing, like, well, okay, well, we haven't had food
Mm-hmm.
for all those months that we've been here in here. Explain that. Ben says, don't use normal logic. Noel
I
says,
will say they did bring it together with the outfits because they're all still wearing the same things.
okay.
And they have the headbands and the like timing and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So Ben's saying, don't use the normal logic. Noel's saying, we're stuck. Felicity's like, are we all dead?
yeah.
They all start throwing out weird explanations because she's like, is this hell? Julie's like, how could this be hell? Ben and Noel are here. How hot are they?
Yeah, exactly.
So like they just all start throwing these things out, but one that they seem to really roll with is this idea, like, are we real people? And this part I thought was a funny nod, just the way the Meghan calling out the tape thing was in a very similar way what they're doing here, where they're basically acknowledging all of the plot holes and the missing characters and just making them a joke. So it's like, how could we possibly be real people? Julie's like, I don't even know what my adoptive parents look like.
Yeah.
And Noel's like, how could I possibly have been in school this long and have basically no friends? And so, like, they're using that as like evidence that they couldn't possibly be real people.
Yeah.
And then there's this weird, like, well, maybe what we thought was the real stuff was the dream. So maybe this isn't the weird episode. Maybe the other 80 some odd episodes of Felicity are the weird episodes.
Yeah. And Felicity is asking like what is real? And I gave like a little mini award to Noel's shout out of like having no friends.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's pretty funny to me.
Yeah.
But here's where, this is one of the real points in this episode where I do see continuity. If you look at this purely from what do we know about Felicity and her character? And when I say character, I don't mean the character of Felicity in the show. I mean her internal like desires and motivation and integrity and her character.
Mm-hmm.
She has gone through this whole traumatic dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. And then she's stuck in basically the nothingness, right? That would have come from taking her heart out. And what is she doing? She is still trying. She is still trying to get out of this nothingness. And, she just won't give up. Everyone else is giving up. Noel is being a total dick, which I thought was so funny. Julie is like, I wish I had my guitar. And Noel's like, thank God you don't have your guitar. And then Ben is just like doing the one thing that he can do, which is have the best comedic like and timing and physicality,
Mm-hmm.
getting really frustrated and just like running into the wall. And Noel's like, yeah, you're dumb.
And that part, okay, so we do, like, I guess, sort of skip a little bit of time, and we come back and we see what everybody's doing in this space. Felicity is looking for the exit. Julie's doing yoga. Elena is running in, not quite in place, but in like a small circle.
Very small circle.
Because there's not a lot of space to go in this room.
Nope.
Ben runs fully into a wall, and this actually is, I don't think they knew it at this time. This is a nod to the future. The concept of Ben running into walls is a thing.
Like physically running into them or metaphorically?
Metaphorically running into them
Oh.
at yes.
Because it was so funny when he did it. I was like, oh, they figured out he could do it really funny. Now he's just going to run into walls for like the next 2.5 seasons.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm thinking
hmm.
like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, this thing probably did, but the idea that he metaphorically runs into walls is something they're going to call by name later.
Well, and Noel is just like, I'm smart enough not to run into a wall.
Right. And I think that that also kind of matches up with what they'll do in real time. And so that's kind of what they're doing. Felicity says, "Okay, how about we try to climb over the wall? Let's everybody like stand atop each other's shoulders, and I'll see if I can see what's on the other side."
And it looked like they actually did this.
I'm assuming that this was sideways.
I don't know. When she was climbing up and over people, I mean, it could have been sideways for the close-up shots, but like when she was actually like sticking her butt out at the camera, like trying to get up, it looked like they were actually doing it.
Did it look to me? I don't see why they would have taken on that risk. I would
No,
assume that they
they
were
did. They did.
lying down and that they did that. They got whatever close-ups they were going to get, and then however they did when they all jumped, like when they all fell off, was probably a different thing. But they only showed they showed Julie falling off at the top and Elena.
And then
So
everyone else just kind of hit the ground.
yeah, so they probably it's probably an
But I
optical
thought they did
illusion.
it well because I thought it looked like she was really climbing up them.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but Felicity gets they all stretch. Felicity gets to the top. She screams and falls out.
Yeah, but she, like, very specifically, Julie says, I'm too scared to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
Felicity is not.
Mm-hmm.
She just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And she does. Yeah, she screams, falls out, and everyone falls down. And they're like, hello? Like, what happened? Felicity.
Yeah. And Felicity is now a doll on the floor
I thought she was
outside
on
the
the bed.
box, or maybe on the bed. I don't know. She's outside the box. She's fallen out. She's a doll.
She's
Meghan
face
sees her.
down.
Mm-hmm. Meghan sees her. She's like, "How did you get out of this box? Get back in." She puts the doll back in the box. It was in Megan's box the whole time, or just this 6 minutes. And then we get the voiceover. We get the voiceover from the narrator slash Dead Sally slash Janine Garofalo.
And do you think this would be a good time to do the what we're going to call what
What
Sally
Sally?
said,
Yeah,
what Sally meant, although it is in fact Janine Garofalo as a voiceover, but we're going to assume it's actually Sally.
look. If you can suspend disbelief for everything that you suspended disbelief for, just go with it. Okay.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the Sally that, from earlier, what Sally said, what Sally meant segments, we know that Sally has actually been dead for a while.
Yeah. And this is what she does in her afterlife. She narrates strange, you know, Outer Limits slash Twilight Zone episodes.
I guess so. So yeah,
You need a gig.
I think we should jump in.
Okay. I don't have a theme song for this. I apologize.
Okay. That's all right. This is weird and wild today, folks. All right. You're gonna have to be okay with us swapping roles because it's all tilted.
Yep. Everything. So, Sally says Felicity Porter stuck inside a box.
You know, the box of thinking she always has to leave tapes for me. The shackles of reporting to me about every little thing.
But not just a box, which happens to be the sole magical possession of her roommate.
But let's face it, the paranoia and curiosity of that are all in her head too.
But another kind of box.
The oppression of a pen pal, the torture of wanting to keep a voice recorder and cassette tape relevant.
A strange, gray area where what you want,
which is, of course, to hear from me again, even though I'm dead.
What you need,
which is to move on, Felicity. Move on to your peers, your real friends, the people who talk back with you.
And what you'll be.
A person who won't be able to buy cassette tapes anymore because they won't make them soon.
Are forever in question. Felicity Porter in a place called college.
Go be in college, Felicity. Stop sending me tapes. Stop it. And that, my friends, these slow claps. What are you gonna do?
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's us closing out the What Sally Said, What Sally Meant segment, guys. This is it. Yep. And if we ever hear Felicity leave another tape for Sally, I am gonna riot. Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna be a one-woman riot.
That's it. I'm gonna get a picket line going, a line of one.
Yep. It's not so much a line as a point.
Yeah.
But it'll be a strong point.
That's the thing. Yep. That's what I mean. Well, Fish, I'm pleased to report we got a comment. Well, we got an email.
Our favorite segment is coming up.
Yeah. It's after you listen to this tape, you have to erase it. And we got a nice long email from our friend Michaela at insta.mickey, and she gave us a whole bunch of different thoughts about this one, some of which we've touched upon a little bit. Some of them I think are really interesting extra context. So I'm going to read through it. There was one part that I was like, oh, it's a little, there might be a part or two that I kind of leave out a little bit, just to make sure we don't spoil things. Also, there's like a movie that could potentially get spoiled. So, but I'm going to go through most of it. So, I think there was a lot of interesting stuff here.
Does she talk about how hot Noel is?
No.
Darn.
Right. So Michaela writes, hey, that classic Felicity style greeting. How to Mend a Broken Heart, Twilight Zone style, was kind of a non-solicited detour, right? But let's go. Like some other episodes, like with the magic stuff from season 1,
which I hated.
Yeah. I think J.J. Abrams was really a little bored with his plain simple TV drama by this point. Then maybe he decided to shake things up and make this tribute episode, since I read somewhere he is a Twilight Zone fan. Back in the day, for me, this episode felt like a filler, or what kept me from checking out what was coming up for Ben and Felicity. At the time, I wasn't so sure about this tribute to the Twilight Zone. I only knew the opening song and that each episode had a horror sci-fi story. And since I don't like horror movies, I've never seen an episode. I liked that everybody has a retro look, and I just love the 50s, 60s clothing. Spot on. I really like the black and white, and the opening in Twilight Zone style was great. The eyeliners, the hair, and makeup were great. Seeing a different side of the beloved characters, since there was not too much I could do, I focused on that.
Yep,
Meghan.
I agree. Totally agree with everything written so far.
Yeah. Meghan with her 60s vibe was great. The episode best quote was definitely from her. Are you ever going to stop making those stupid tapes?
Yeah.
Writing this, I realized that later on in the show, we see Meghan in similar outfits, and that makes me so happy. I'm going to skip to the weirdest part for sure was the part that Felicity went to work in that lab with the cadavers. I mean, talk about unnecessary plot. I know it was just a dream, but that made no sense at all that she would do that. She's Carrie. I mean, she looked gorgeous. Noel was the same as regular Noel. Elena was the same needed voice of reason. She's always saying what we were thinking. Scott Speedman was a little uncomfortable, maybe, because let's face it, it's a little weird for all of us that way of speaking. Julie was beautiful. I really liked that they joked about the mystery of Meghan's box. It was always fun to see Felicity and Meghan scenes. Since the Twilight Zone episodes had a lesson to be learned at the end of the episodes, I think Felicity had a really deep one when she said to Noel that basically it's best to have loved and get hurt than to never have loved, or something like that. I'm going to shorten this part a little bit. Was it just me, or does this resemble a little bit that Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? I'm going to stop the comment there. But if you like the idea of this episode and you haven't seen that film, go see it. Because I agree that the concept is it's coming from a similar root.
Yeah, it is not in any way, shape, or form stylistically similar to this, but the central question of, is it better to have loved and lost or never have loved at all, is the central question of that movie as well.
Yeah. And stylistically, that movie is really cool in very different ways. I think they did some amazing effects. And particularly the stuff with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, because there are some other characters in the movie as well. But that stuff, it's a great film. I'm a cinephile, so I'm a little biased on this, but there's a lot of meat on its bones and it's fun to talk about. But yeah, so thank you. First of all, huge thank you to Mickey.
And we have been loving all of your comments. That has been really appreciated on Instagram.
And I do think that there's like one of the first things Mickey pointed out was this context of like maybe J.J. Abrams was like already kind of done with not having a genre to put this into. We know what we know now, the kind of body of work J.J. Abrams has gone on to make. He instantly went on to Alias, which was like Felicity plus spy, right? But the spy element was deep and strong and something he was really able to sink his teeth into. He's
had a lot of conspiracy theory-esque and got a little weird too.
And a lot of like, you know, they had a whole character who was just making gadgets for the spies to use. And so there was certainly a science element that he incorporated even in that show. And then he went to Lost. And then he, you know, like, and then he's done so many other projects and TV shows. And then he started getting into Star Wars, which is probably a dream come true for him because he gave a lot of nods to Star Wars in some of his earlier works.
The Force.
So the stuff that he's doing now, or the stuff we've come to know, if you knew J.J. Abrams from any of the work he's done since like 2005, you'd be like, oh, he did Felicity?
Yeah.
Which is probably, you know, like I think there might be something to what Mickey says here, that maybe he was getting a little bored. He was looking for ways to sort of like fire up that spark. And he was able to do a tribute episode, and he wrote this episode.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the point of a tribute episode, right? It's a tribute. It's something he loves. And I mean, sure, it could have been that he was bored, but also he had the opportunity, you know, to work with a, you know, famous writer from the Twilight Zone. And, you know, it's, I don't know, like I see this as very different from the magic stuff, because the magic stuff was supposed to be in that reality. Here, it's a tribute episode. Like I can suspend all disbelief and just enjoy it for what it is. And I also think it just speaks to kind of how genius J.J. Abrams is, because he did Felicity. Like it's sort of, and this is not going to be exactly the right comparison, but it's sort of like how I view abstract art sometimes.
Oh.
It's like, okay, like, yes, you can throw paint at a wall and whatever. Like a 4-year-old can do that. But can you also paint really well? Can you like do a Rembrandt type painting? And I feel like what we see here is he can do the Rembrandt and he can do the Picasso, who a lot of people love, and it's their favorite style.
Mhm.
And I think it's very rare to find someone who is able to switch genres and do them all really well.
Yeah. It does feel a little bit to me like J.J. Abrams. I don't know what the version of a portfolio is for a showrunner, but it feels like he knew he was going to try to pitch something later and he needed to show them that he could do something, like he didn't want to be pigeonholed into, doing only things like relationship dramas and teen dramas like Felicity. He wanted to be able to show that he could do stuff outside of that. And this was a way to show that ability within the context of a show that he was already hired to do. Um, so in
I
a way,
just
it
feel like
feels
it was a
like,
tribute. I just feel like it was a tribute episode. Like
yeah,
he
I mean,
like
it was
maybe met the guy and
yeah,
was like, "Hey, would you do this?" And he was like, "Sure." And then it just happened.
yeah. I mean,
And
yeah, it was a tribute episode, but at some point somebody had to hire him and be like, yeah, you can handle Lost, you can handle Star Wars. And I think it's like if he had only shown them most of the episodes of Felicity, they would have been like, man, like we're gonna see those last 5 episodes of this series go into a very sci-fi direction. Um, and I feel like that was his wheelhouse at that point that he really wanted to be in. And it's like, well, how do I start putting the message out that I'm looking for this type of stuff? Um, I don't know. I think so. Mickey, just kind of going back through some of her comments, the for her the episode felt like a filler because she was getting really invested in what was probably was already invested in Ben and Felicity's story at that point. And um, for me, it also did feel like a filler. But I wonder about what she says after this about so I wonder how much of a crossover there was in the Felicity watchers audience of people who were really familiar with Twilight Zone.
probably
Um,
not much.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Mickey is somebody who didn't have really any knowledge of it. I have about as much knowledge as Mickey had. I feel like I've seen maybe a couple episodes that people mentioned. Um, but I really wouldn't say that that I know the style very well. But I do wonder if there's much of a crossover there.
I mean,
Um,
you're talking about a show from kind of a while ago,
yeah,
and then a teen drama that was probably watched by teens at the time.
yeah,
I
it's
again, I
true.
feel like there's not much. There probably was not much of a crossover.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I hadn't seen Twilight Zone or much of Twilight Zone when I first watched it. I've seen
mhm,
it since,
yeah.
but not at the
So
time.
maybe there was nowhere to find reruns.
Mm.
Okay, fair enough. Mickey made a lot of comments about the look, stuff that obviously you picked up on a lot more than I did for sure, with the clothing and the makeup and all that. Um,
I agree. I love that style. It's it's just, I don't know. I think it makes everyone look good.
yeah, Mickey, I agree with you on the like. It is a little weird that there was this lab slash morgue, and Felicity just
Yes.
suddenly had a job in it when she was also working at Dean and DeLuca. Um,
Yeah. I mean, they had to have her figure out what was going on somehow.
I feel like okay, amateur writer here. Why not have her in an art studio with like a mannequin model that is actually speaking to her
But that's not a
and
person
doesn't
who
have the
went through the
scar?
procedure.
Or maybe it's a model who's actually dead because she had that whole conversation with Eli about how she thought the model was dead. I don't know. I'm
And
trying to
the
make this
model
make
has
sense
gone
again.
through the procedure?
Why not? It was, look, how is that any more far-fetched than what they gave us, is what I want to
Because what
know.
they gave us is a morgue scene. I mean, the fact that it
Yes.
happens to be the biolab is a nod to the fact that she's dreaming, or like there are elements of her life coming into it. But um, in essence, it's a scene in the morgue from a guy who has been trying to warn her and has been dead the whole time, and here is his body. I mean, I do think that holds together.
Yeah, just why is she
The
working there?
scenery
Yeah.
is weird, and the fact that it's a job is weird. Like, she could have just, it says open 67, and she could have gotten like one more clue as to where to go, and it was like the morgue, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
she finds 67. Like, she didn't need to be a job. But generally speaking, I think that holds up. The
Yeah.
one thing that I find very interesting that Mickey mentions is that Noel is just Noel.
Yeah, she did. She said Noel was the same as regular Noel.
I don't feel like that was regular Noel at all. I felt that was supercharged hot Scott Foley. And you felt like it was mega aggressive, uncool Scott Foley or Noel.
Yeah, it's funny. Scott Foley, Noel in this episode is like, we're all projecting onto him what we need him to be. He is just a mirage, and we're putting our own interpretation on him. I guess. Three opinions on Noel, three totally different takes on him here in this episode. I would agree, though, that to me, it did seem like Scott Speedman was the most uncomfortable in the style of
Although
all
he
of
did
them.
have the best physicality.
He did, but I feel like his cadence
Yeah.
was. I feel like he was just Ben. I don't know.
And I think that's clear because they don't have him talk that
They
much.
don't have him in very much of this, and not a lot of it is like significant long dialogue. It's I think the longest stuff we get from him is his like, don't analyze this. Can't
No,
can't problem solve your way out of this, man.
this is not a midterm or a
Yeah.
puzzle.
Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. And this just makes me want to go out and watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And then immediately go watch 212 of Felicity. Because that's what I really want to know. But
No,
yeah, huge
wait.
thank you to Mickey for
Yes.
jumping in there and sharing all that feedback. Fish, do you want to? Should we rate this episode?
I think we should, and I think you should go first.
Okay. Um,
And you can totally do to me what I did to you when I was just like, it's boring. 4. But I have a feeling you're gonna want to say more.
yeah. My unit of measurement is Elena's running in place.
Oh, okay, I like that. Although
Yeah.
she wasn't running in place, she was running in small
She
circles.
eventually ran in place.
That's true.
She
Yeah,
started by running in a very small circle and then she ran in place.
yeah.
Um, now, this rating is going to be bizarre given that unit of measurement, but nonetheless, everything
Laugh.
we've just done was bizarre, and that's fine. 0.5 out of 10, Elena's
Yeah.
running in place.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing from an existential crisis standpoint, I'm here to rate the show Felicity, and this was not an episode of Felicity. So it should be a 0, but I'm bumping it up 0.25 for so I'm bumping it up 0.25 for the fact that there were some good comedic moments and things that will eventually link up later when we get back to the show. And 0.25 for the fact that this is not a musical episode.
I can't believe you're only giving it 0.25 for it not being a musical
This
episode.
doesn't deserve more than that. I was thinking, should I give this 1? And then I was like, I don't like it as much as a 1. And so it's a 0.25 for each of those things.
Uh-huh.
0.5 out of 10, Elena's running in place. And thank goodness, J.J. Abrams, you didn't do a musical episode because I would have been done with you.
Yeah, you would have
Yeah,
had to go into negative numbers.
yes, I actually would have. Mm-hmm. For those of you just tuning in, I don't like musicals.
Yeah.
That
Or bottle episodes.
or bottle episodes. I mean,
Or
the
hot
ideas,
moments with
bottle
Scott pulling his
episodes
shirt off.
can work. Like, I think bottle episodes, it just means that the episode itself is meant to stand alone. And I do think that that tends to work better for me if whoever wrote the bottle episode is able to put it in the context of the story they just came out of, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes people who write a bottle episode, it's like a spec script and they just came and they just did that. But sometimes people are able to not move the story forward, but put it in the context of a story we had been building. A tribute episode, though, I have never seen a tribute episode of a show that I liked because usually they do this. Usually they not only discard where you like, they discard everything. They put you in a different period of time. They give the characters different attributes. Sometimes they even swap who the good guy and who the bad guy is. It's a different thing. And so tribute episodes are a type of bottle episode for me. And I have yet to see it work, even if I liked the thing that they were giving a tribute to. Um, it's like if I wanted to see that, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
So it's just this weird thing. But 0.5 out of 10, Elena's running in place. What part of the point? What part of her? What half? I don't know.
I just assumed the bottom half. I guess because she's running and you
Uh-huh.
wouldn't be able to see the running if you only had the top half.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, Elena's legs
Yeah.
is what you're giving this episode.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Melissa's just very clearly unhappy that she has had to watch and
I
discuss
thank
this.
God this is over. Yeah. But no, this is not to take away from your rating, Fish, because I have a feeling this is probably going to be the biggest spread we've ever had.
I think so. I mean, I've never given anything a 0.5, like any episode a 0.5. So, I mean, you went full cynic, and I applaud that.
Yeah.
Um, so again, I didn't mind any of that stuff that you just said. I didn't mind any of it. And I just really, I don't know, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I liked the style and everything about it. And Noel was so sexy, which I've been missing. And maybe this is when I started being obsessed with Noel. I don't know. I certainly am obsessed with Jake. So, who knows where that came from. Um, so yeah, I really liked just about everything about it. So I'm giving it a 9.5.
My God.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever beat this in terms of a spread because, yeah.
No, not unless I give something a 0 and you give it a 10.
Well, because I know I'm never going to come down as low as this. Not even close.
Yeah.
And, again, like that's because we say like watching an episode of Felicity is better than not watching an episode of Felicity, but for me this is not watching an episode of Felicity, so that's where this gets such a low rating for me, and that's why no matter what I think about future episodes, nothing would match this because they're all episodes of Felicity for me, whether I like them or not.
And if we remember way back to the beginning, for those of you who have been with us for a while, I was very clear that a big part of the pull in the show for me was the pretty people.
Mm-hmm.
So this had the pretty people in it. And I liked the rest of it. And I thought there were funny moments. I liked the nod to the Twilight Zone. I liked the, ending where it's a very Twilight Zone ending,
Mm-hmm.
with some big reveal where you get a completely different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And did I mention Noel was hot?
You did. I'm so surprised by this because The things that you
The things that I like in real life are not the same things that I like in fantasy. And this was fantasy.
Yeah, I guess so. But he's behaving as that scene that he had with Felicity, where he turns, and I thought he was menacing. I considered
Yeah,
him more menacing than I've ever considered Ben.
absolutely. And it's hot because it's
Yeah, I
not
don't
real
know
life.
how those things occupy. Yeah, okay.
So
It's not
Melissa
really.
has a thing where like she won't watch You or Dexter or any of those shows where the main character can hold both a menacing, a threatening, kind of a really, not just like a bad personality type, but like be a serial killer
Yeah,
and
and be a
also
heart
be
throb.
attractive.
Yeah.
And I don't know that
Not
heartthrob is the right word for it,
I
but
would. So I not to spoil I haven't seen You, and I'm not trying to spoil You for anybody. I think this is like the known stuff. The guy who plays the main character, was it Penn? What's his name? The guy from Gossip
Badgley,
Girl, Penn Badgley.
yeah,
He when he started doing, I've seen some interviews with him about You, and he's like scratching his head in his early interviews. He's like, I'm uncomfortable about this and I don't get it, because women are like catcalling me and thinking I'm hot, and I'm playing a really, really bad guy.
yeah,
Like, you shouldn't be attracted to my character, but so many people are. And he, as an actor, is like, he was obviously really uncomfortable in his early interviews, especially where he was like, I don't know that I want this for humanity or for me. And he's like, I don't understand why we can be painting such an unsympathetic character and he can be like,
hot,
so many grown women are like attracted to him, and
yeah.
he as a person was mystified by it and deeply uncomfortable with it. And I thought, yeah, I don't know what that is about us.
Yeah, and so
Like,
Melissa just avoids it. And the fact that she didn't react well to Noel probably says that she wouldn't find these people attractive. But
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like somewhere in a more like instinctual level in some of us, like there is a power element to these. And while these characters do some really horrible things, and at some points go too far and I don't find them attractive, but like there is a power element to it. And some people are attracted to powerful men, and I'm one of them.
Mhm.
And this was just a scene of Noel being really like forceful, and I find that sexy.
Okay.
I mean, he didn't actually do anything to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Look, we would love your feedback. Maybe about this episode, or maybe about anything else you want to say about it that's happening in the show. So
Melissa would like no one to ever respond about this episode ever again
no, I
because
mean, we'll
she never
address
wants to think
feedback.
about it.
I didn't want to have to sit through it, but we did it. We've made it. We've survived. So you tell us your feedback. If you rewatched this and you survived it, tell us. We'd love to know. Maybe you did more than survive. Maybe you thrived. Maybe you love this episode. I don't know. Maybe you've got some Felicity fan art you want to share. You can write us at themelissafish@gmail.com. That's Melissa with one L, two S's, themelissafish@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at Felicity Podcast. If you want to know whenever we drop a new episode of our podcast, you can sign up for our newsletter, which there's a link to that in our show notes. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, look for what's written about it, and that is where you'll find the links. And then, if you like our podcast and you want other Felicity fans to find out about it and to be able to discover this community of people who are so cool and talking about the show, Go ahead and rate or review us wherever you're listening to this podcast. Just make it a little easier for others to find it. And, Fish, next time we're going to get back into the show proper with an episode called The Slump.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this episode, that this is a really good one. So I don't know if it's going to be 9.5 good.
I don't know either. I think there's a certain momentum that starts to happen with the show. And I think that there are characters that people get excited about. There are, we've got these major stories that we opened up last episode that, the show has nowhere to go but forward with the momentum from that. So, there's David's not here. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of for us to celebrate, I guess, at this point. So what do you think the slump is going to be about?
I'm guessing it's probably about Ben, just based on what you've said, and his whole monologue in this story where he was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. He's the only one who seems to be in a slump, and hopefully he can figure it out. Yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah. Good guess. Well, we'll just have to see what pans out in the slump. But anything else you wanted to mention about this one, Fish?
Just that Noel's super hot.
Okay. All right. Well, until next time, Fish, don't hook up with Ben while I'm gone.
I'm a fish.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.